I trusted in the Lord. And he heard my cry. I depended upon God. And God came through. I tried the Lord in some dark and dismal hours, but I found out that I can trust God. But then there is this startling twist in Job's behavior. Instead of succumbing to the onslaught of grief, and instead of giving in to the enormous weight of sorrow, and instead of burying himself in his own agony, he bends down on his knees. He lowers his face to the ground. And the Bible says that Job worshiped. The idea of worship here suggests the act of bowing before a superior. Job, instead of getting angry with God, recognized God as his superior. He understood that what the 139th psalmist said when he declared, "Oh Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. You search out my path and my lying down, and you are acquainted with all of my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, oh Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. I cannot attain it." This, my brothers and sisters, is the first positive step in dealing with a situation wherein we experience one difficulty after another. And this first positive step is the recognition of the superiority of God. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, we just don't know what God is doing and why God is doing it. But it is in earnest, spirit immersed, divinely engulfed worship that we make the claim that God is still God. We may have gone through a series of trying experiences, but God is still God. We may have been force-fed the bitter herbs of successive misfortunes, but God is still God. We may have been repeatedly assaulted by formidable and fearsome foes, but God is still God. We may have suffered an indescribable set of devastating losses, but God is still God. Maybe the theologically erudite author of the 90th Psalm had this in mind when he declared, "Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, ever you had formed the earth and the world. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art God." Grasp the full force of this statement as we deal with one negative turn after another. Before we got here, God was God. All while we're here, no matter what we have to confront, God is God. All while we're when we are long gone from the face of the earth, God will be God. From everlasting to everlasting, God is God. What that means for you mathematicians, it's a line with two arrows on each end. If both arrows are on the end, that means the line has no beginning and the line has no end. God is a God with two arrows on the end. From everlasting to everlasting, God is God. We must recognize Him, the superiority of God. Brothers and sisters, if we are not God, if we were, we would have prevented the calamity that plagues us in the first place. We are not God, but God is God. Even in our privation, God is God. Even in our destitution, God is God. Even in our want, God is God. Even in our persecution, God is God. Even in our pain, God is God. We must recognize the superiority of God. But then we've got to recognize the sovereignty of God. In Job's worship experience, Listen at what he says. He said naked. Naked means I didn't have nothing. Naked. I came from my mother's womb, that is, out of the bowels of the earth, and naked shall I return there. He said the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. Wait a minute, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to wrestle with this thing. He said naked I came, naked I'm going to return. I don't care how much you got, you can't take it with you. You can put it in the casket with you, but you still can't take it with you. You can lower it down in the grave with you, but you still can't take it with you. You can burn it up with you, but you still can't. Naked you came into the world, and naked we're going to leave out.